What is going on, everyone? My name is Chris Chan. Today we're going to talk about the 3 different stages as you're growing your organization. What stages are you going through and how can you plan for them and what does this mean? But first, golly, you know what? I saw some of our videos the other day and I mean, they got good views on them, but they ain't no likes and comments. And you guys are watching them. I don't feel the love. Like, are they good? Do you like these videos? Should I make more or should I stop? I don't know. What do you think, Dre? I don't know, man. I need a little love. Like, just you know, if you like it, if you don't like it, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Just let me know. Give me something. It'll encourage me, inspire me. Otherwise, I feel like I'm talking to myself here. You know? Anyways, guys, all right, so today let's get into it. We're talking about the 3 different stages when you're starting your adult daycare business, right? Or you know, when you're thinking about, you know, what are you going to be doing? Like, okay, so are you starting this business? Is it you and a partner? Is it you by yourself? Do you have a husband or a wife? Like, who's going into this venture with you? Who is crazy enough to say, yeah, let's do this together? You know, like, you guys better be really good friends and have a really good marriage. But you know, the important thing to take into consideration is, like, there's gonna be a lot of aspects to a business that, like, you may have never thought about before. And all of a sudden, you're gonna be starting something where you're all of those things, potentially. Unless you're loaded and you got so much cash that you just pay everyone to do all these different roles. You know, the reality is that's not gonna be the case. You're probably gonna actually be in a situation where you're being conscientious of your budget, you're being conscientious of what you hire someone to do versus what you're going to do yourself. And so these are very important things to take into consideration. So you probably first are gonna wanna start out with, what are the roles? The way I foresee my center down the road, what would all those roles be? If I could afford today every single role that I would want, what would they be and what would they do? And you would need to write that out first, okay? So you would write, like, the role, right? And then the responsibilities, right? So the job is caregiver. What do they do? What's the period of time that they're there? The job is transportation. What do they do? What are they responsible for? Like, what is the estimated hours per week that they work? The activity director, what do they do? How many are there? So there's all of these things that you're taking into consideration. You're like, job role, responsibility list, and now you know what they are. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna treat these things like little Legos or little magnets on a board, and you're gonna rearrange them depending on what stage of the company you're in. So in the first stage, guess what? You're all of them. Isn't that exciting? So that's awesome, right? So essentially, what I'm trying to do is just trying to paint you a visual. But like, when you're between that 0 to 150,000 in revenue, like, you're at a stage where there is no money to really afford a ton of staff, right? So it may or may not just be like, you know, you and your wife getting the thing off the ground, getting it started. And if that is the case, you're the owner, you're the admin, you're the marketing person, you're the care team, your transportation, your activities, your kitchen, your nursing, your front desk, you're all of those things, all the above. You might be one person sharing 10 roles, right? So all those roles we just said, hey, define those roles, just throw all those roles up underneath you and you do all those things, okay? So that's the reality of it, right? You said you wanted to start your own business, this is what you gig, you know? So don't blame me. So stage 2, as you start continuing to grow, now you're having, you know, more consistency. There's going to be kind of a more consistent revenue base coming in. You're surpassing maybe that 150 to 500,000, or you're somewhere between that 150 to $500,000 in annual revenue. If you're in that range, what you're going to start noticing is you're going to start to be able to add some team members to the team, and then they're going to still be doing multiple roles, but they're going to be doing less multiple roles. So if I was one person doing 10 roles formally, now in stage 2, I might be one person doing 4 roles. You know, it might be you husband and wife couple here, maybe, the wife is the one that is kind of overseeing the care and the activities, and not just overseeing those things, but maybe they're participating. Maybe they are part of the care team, and they still are the activity coordinator, but they might have hired 1 caregiver or 2 caregivers to help out during that time, and they're still kind of involved in that process, right? They're still, in a sense, responsible and kind of fulfill some of those roles. And so they might be in those 3 different roles. You might have the husband, and the wife's like, look, I got the care, I got the activities down. You just make sure they get home safely, okay? So now the husband's Maybe he likes to cook and so he's the kitchen guy, you know? Who knows, right? Every situation is really different. I'm just trying to like paint a visual for you, kind of help you understand. But you might have that, like I said, that spouse who's kind of in charge of the kitchen now, maybe in charge of transportation. And then maybe you hired an administrative person to come on the team to kind of like help, you know, be your right-hand person, okay, in your absence. So maybe you can go focus on marketing or things like that, right? So in that case, maybe the admin person's like, they're handling the front desk stuff. Maybe they're kind of like overseeing medication reminders and some of the nursing things. Maybe you're an LPN and they're kind of like sharing in some care items, but they're also sharing in some administrative items, and they're kind of fulfilling, you know, some different roles. So in this stage, you're probably gonna have like one person kind of doing the roles of like, say, four different roles, you know, during that stage. Now, the stage you've been waiting for, the one that was like, this is why I wanted to start my own business, so I could be that absentee owner and just manage from the sidelines and sit on the beach and drink pina coladas and margaritas. This is that stage. This is the whole reason why you're like, I want to be in business for myself. Yeah. And then you realize what it was all about. And you're like, wait, what did I sign up for? That's not quite like how it works. Anyways, so stage 3, now you're surpassing that 500,000 in revenue. You're able to have a little bit more of a robust team in place. You know, really, you know, like I would say you're gonna need to be at least $1 million in revenue or more if you wanna like hire for all of these roles and be kind of absentee. But I'm just trying to give you a range. So when you start embarking on this 500,000 or more in annual revenue and beyond, you are gonna be starting embarking on an area where you're kind of leading the team through your like administrator, whoever you brought on as the admin person or your right-hand person. The goal is you're starting to transition yourself into truly like a leader, an owner, and who's leading through your administrator. And so this is a very important time, because what's gonna happen is now your administrator over time is gonna start overseeing different areas of the company, but there might be just one person, say in transportation, that's just solely responsible for just transportation. You know, no longer are you, or no longer is the administrator responsible for doing their admin work and, you know, taking people home and dropping them off. No, now you have one person or multiple people, you know, doing that role. You have one person to one van doing one route in the morning. It's like 1-to-1, you know, role, right? One person to one role, and that's their focus. You know, you might have the care team. You might have 10 people on your care team. You know, and so it's like you have one person focusing on one area of, you know, of the company and not having to worry about all those other aspects. Same with activities. You might have 1 or 2 activity directors they're the ones now that have taken that burden off of you, and they're planning out the activities, the upcoming activities. They're planning for next month and the parties and all those things, and you're no longer having to be responsible for that entirely. You know, maybe you give input, or you meet with them, or you let your administrator meet with them while you go off and maybe start a second location. You know, these are just, again, I'm painting visuals. There's a wide range here. This is not exact. This is just to help you understand the different stages you're gonna go through. And then again, you might have like, you know, kitchen, reception, nursing, all these things where you have that one person doing just one role, and you're really able to lead the organization in a way that allows it to be a true business that can operate successfully without you being there every day, because you built the systems and the processes and you put them in place and you assign them to certain people to fulfill those roles that you made. That just not too many years ago, you were doing all in the first place. And that is ultimately your target, but you have to understand you're gonna go through stages. You're not gonna start there on day one, again, unless you're loaded. And if you are, like, hey, let's be friends, you know? Just kidding. No, I hope this was helpful, guys. I know when I've gone through this myself, through the different stages of our various businesses, you know, like I'll never forget, like having started one business, growing that business, and then like, you know, like I no longer am needed there anymore because it's running on its own. And then I go start another business, and guess what? I'm back at the bottom again, starting, you know, from the bottom, doing every role, you know. And so it's a very, you know, I think important thing to go through as an owner. But I also think it's important to create a roadmap, because if there's one thing I learned is I had to like forge my way through this thing I just kind of created for you. I mean, like I was like trying to figure it out, like not knowing what I needed to do, only to realize one day is like, if I could have started here by just writing down the different roles and then just assigning those roles to the different various people as we grew the company, it would allow them to have a lot more clarity. So when I'm hiring you and onto the care team, and I'm like, yeah, your care and your activities and your transportation and your this, I can give them like all the roles they're responsible for, so they understand like, you're not just this one thing, and they have a clear expectation. So it is important, I think, when you think about like, what is my center going to look like at its capacity when I'm full? What is that going to look like, right? What are all those roles that I'm going to want to have, and what are they going to be doing? Just write all that stuff out first, and then plug in the people to do all the different roles, and that'll just evolve over time. But at least you'll be able to provide them with clarity as what they're responsible for, what duties they have, and it'll make it easier for you to assess whether or not they have too much on their plate, and maybe like this person's like, okay, their plate's way too full. Let me move this role over here and kind of balance everything out a little bit. So hope this is helpful, hope it makes sense. I appreciate you guys' support. But yeah, and make sure you go to adcpro.com because we got monthly webinars. You can join our Facebook group and get, just kind of stay in contact with other like-minded individuals who want to start their own adult daycare, and who, others who actually have already, and might be able to help provide some insight and some information that would be helpful to you. But go to adcpro.com, stay in touch. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Peace. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to learn how to open your own adult daycare center, go to adcpro.com. If you'd like the latest business tips, click here, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Click here. We'll see you guys next time.